upcoming video game releases that I am personally excited for. And when I say upcoming video game releases, I'm talking about quarter 3 or quarter 4 of this year, 2022, or into 2023. But I'm trying to avoid getting into anything that comes out beyond 2023, although some of these games have a release date of TBA, so TBA could be anything, right? So I'm kind of going a little bit in order of how excited I am for them, mainly with the first few, but there's going to be 8 entries on this list, so let's get into it. Starting at number 1, we have Hogwarts Legacy. I am a massive Harry Potter fan. I grew up reading the books, went and saw every movie as they released in the movie theaters. Not ashamed to admit that I cried when I went into Hogsmeade at Universal Studios in Los Angeles. I love Harry Potter, and ever since I was a child, a teenager, I wanted the sort of video game that Hogwarts Legacy is promising to be. When I was I remember desperately wanting a Hogwarts-based MMORPG back in the day, but if Hogwarts Legacy delivers on what is being showed off in the trailers, it might be one of the greatest accomplishments in gaming ever. The combat system looks fun. It looks like a nice mix between the machine gun wands of the Deathly Hallows video games, and then the stick gesture based slower wand casting of like the Order of the Phoenix video games. I think the combat is going to strike a nice balance, and but the story is what really interests me here, and the ability for character customization and growth. What we have seen so far with the common rooms, and the fact that our character can choose to, go and experiment with dark magic. Obviously, in the trailer, we famously see them casting the Killing Curse at one point, and I'm extremely excited for this game with the open world that's being promised and the ability to fly your broom around all over the world. I'm assuming that you're also going to be able to use apparating as a form of fast travel. I've been excited for this game since it leaked quite a few years ago at this point. I remember a clip of, I believe it was just a character going through a cave, through some sort of magical doorway, leaked on Twitter 5 or 6 years ago at this point. Some people thought the game died, in development, but then, boom, Hogwarts Legacy gets announced, and all the press, all the trailers surrounding this game have just been top tier ever since, and I am extremely excited. Once this game comes out, it is going to be all that I play for a while, so I think it comes out around Christmas of this year. I'm probably gonna post like 2 weeks straight of just Hogwarts Legacy gameplay, so apologies in advance for that. But the game I'm most excited for coming up, definitely Hogwarts Legacy. Next up, another game that I've been following the development cycle of for quite a while is ESports Boxing Club. This game, I'm not gonna lie, there are some parts about it that make me a little bit nervous. Some of the animations still look fairly unpolished. The visuals, they look like they're being downgraded as the game progresses instead of being upgraded, which is worrying. But if this game comes out even partly, even being decent, not even great, but just decent or good, it is going to be the best roster that we have ever had in a boxing game. And if you guys have been watching this channel for a while, you know that I'm a huge boxing fan. I love boxing. I still to this day, I have my Xbox 360 still hooked up to my TV, specifically to play Fight Night Champion. And getting a boxing game after a decade of not having any, it's been time to have a new one. UFC, MMA has been the only thing on the market since Fight Night Champion. I think that came out in 2011, 2010. There's not been a new boxing video game since then. And even though I do have some concerns with the development of ESBC, and there's been a lot of questions about when the early access is actually going to open up, what we're going to be able to do, and just how finished the game will be in the early access state. It is another game that I am very excited for as a fan of boxing and of sports games in general. A game that I've been waiting for a long time, and another game that will probably feature prominently on this YouTube channel when it does finally release. Next up, of course, is Starfield. Starfield promises to be the biggest game that Bethesda has ever made. And we're talking about a company that made Fallout 4, that made Skyrim a half dozen times, Morrowind, Oblivion, Fallout 3, I already talked about Fallout 4, and apparently the lead writer on Starfield is the writer for the Far Harbor DLC from Fallout 4, which Fallout fans know is some of the best written, if not the best written Fallout content ever. And that guy is the lead writer on Starfield. People can complain about Bethesda games all they want. They have bugs, the Radiant questing, and there are certainly concerns because Todd Howard announced that there are going to be 1,000 planets available to explore in Starfield. And you have to think that a lot of that empty space is going to be populated with Radiant quests, kind of like the Preston Garvey quests in Fallout 4. But hopefully, half a decade of work in perfecting that system, and hopefully it's a better, more polished system now. They showed off a base creation suite that looks far better than what we had in Fallout 4. A ship creation suite that I know I'm going to get lost in for hours and hours, making my perfect ship. As a fan of science fiction, as a fan of Bethesda games, I am extremely excited for Starfield. The combat looks interesting, the exploration looks cool, and I love the space setting. And I just know that once modders really get their hands on this game, it's going to explode into something we have never seen before. Fallout 4 and especially Skyrim are still receiving top-notch mods to this day, and if there really are 1,000 planets that we can go visit, I can just imagine being able to download mods that specifically populate all those different planets with user-created content, quest lines, characters, story plots, all sorts of stuff. I think Starfield base game is going to be amazing. Add on to it the Bethesda mod support that all their games receive, and Starfield is going to be a game that I think it's going to be amazing in my opinion. I love Skyrim, loved Fallout 4. I've played Fallout 4 on the channel a bit. I've not touched Skyrim on the channel. Maybe I will someday, but Starfield, definitely looking forward to it. Next up, God of War Ragnarok. The God of War for PS4, that this is a direct sequel to, is one of my favorite video games of all time. I'm pretty sure it's on my top 10 video games of all time list video that I did on this channel a few months back. It is one of the few games that I sat down and completed it front to back without playing any other games in between. I would play it all day, go to bed, wake up, play it all day until I beat that story. My ancestry is Norwegian, so I've always had an interest in Norwegian culture and history, Scandinavian culture and history, Vikings, Norse mythology, those sorts of things. And I loved the direction they went with God of War incorporating those elements. I was not a huge fan of the original God of War games, the hack and slash games, on the PS2 and PS3 era of consoles, but the PS4 God of War game is, in my opinion, one of the best games ever made. It is a true storytelling masterpiece, and I think that Ragnarok promises to be even better. And I think bringing Thor into the game is a fantastic decision. And although I'm probably not going to play this game in videos because I don't want the distraction of having to talk through it and focus on my relaxing commentary, this is a game that I want to sit down with and take it in and enjoy it like I would a movie. Next game, Warhammer 40k is Space Marine 2. The original Warhammer 40k Space Marine game on Xbox 360 is an amazing hack and slash third-person game that I feel like did not get a ton of love and recognition back in the day. I'm a huge 40k fan. I love the lore and the world of Warhammer 40k, and as luck would have it, I play Ultramarines. That is my army. I used to be a Space Wolves player. I'm now an Ultramarines player, but I play Ultramarines. I love 40k, playing 40k, reading. I have some of the books. I might do a bookshelf video at some point. You'll see I have some of the 40k books. So, when I saw Space Marine 2 get announced, I was super excited. Bringing, a new level of polish, another generation worth of advancements in game design to a game that already was pretty fun. I'm very, very excited for Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Next up on the list, a game that is I don't know too much about it, but I watched the trailer for it at the Xbox showcase and I was intrigued, kind of cautiously optimistic about it, and that is Redfall. Now, what I saw in Redfall is it looked sort of like Left 4 Dead, but you're fighting vampires. There was a very horror, occulty type vibe with some of the iconography, the locations. Obviously you're fighting vampire-esque creatures, and the only thing that kind of threw me a little bit was it seems like it's multiplayer only. I don't think this is a single player game. In those things, it's always kind of hard to coordinate because you have to get all your friends to buy the game. You have to all be online at the same time, so I might need to look into it a little bit more to see, but the setting is intriguing to me. You guys know I love vampires. You know, I have a vampire tattoo, so I love vampires. And yeah, so Redfall, maybe it's not super high on this list, but it's definitely going to be a game that I keep my eye on. Next up, Marvel Midnight Suns. The lineup, the hero lineup of this game intrigues me. You have Spider-Man, Blade, Ghost Rider, Iron Man, Doctor Strange. It looked like Jean Grey. Let me real quick just look up the Midnight Suns characters. We have Yuri Lowenthal reprising his role as Spider-Man. Okay. Apparently there's gonna be DLC that has new superheroes. Okay. Midnight Suns characters available at launch. Blade, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, Iron Man, Magic, Nico, Minoru, Scarlet Witch, Spider-Man, Wolverine. I think that's a super solid lineup, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of a Marvel Ultimate Alliance type game, which was an Xbox 360 era game that I thought was actually pretty fun. And seeing it just be like a Marvel team up and not like the Avengers or X-Men or anything, and not being based off of like the MCU, I think this game does have potential. It's definitely one that I'm going to wait for a bunch of reviews and maybe some gameplay videos to come out before I purchase it, but it definitely intrigues me. And last but certainly not least, we have the Knights of the Old Republic remake. The reason this is last is that there just isn't a lot of footage or information on this game right now. All we have available at the moment is a teaser trailer which shows Revan, but Knights of the Old Republic is one of the best Star Wars games ever made. Also one of the best role-playing games ever made, back when BioWare was a good company. I love Knights of the Old Republic, and the only questions I have for the remake and why it's at the bottom of this list is I don't know what the gameplay is going to be like. I wonder if it's going to be like the remake of Final Fantasy VII, where you switch from turn-based combat in the original to like an active combat in the remake. I would not hate that change for Knights of the Old Republic, especially with something like lightsaber combat, where maybe it makes a little bit more sense. Because in the turn-based system, when you're just like slashing at, let's say like a Tusken Raider with a lightsaber, but it takes 3 turns to kill them, it looks a little bit goofy, but nevertheless, I am excited for the Knights of the Old Republic remake. I just personally want to see more information on what the gameplay is going to look like, what the visuals are going to look like, if the story has been changed at all, before I get too excited for it. And there we have it. That is the list. Those are the 8 games I am most looking forward to in the coming years. Let me know in the comments down below if you are excited for these games, or if I didn't mention a game that you personally are looking forward to in this year and next. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this every single day. And until next time, guys, bye bye.